Join me as I challenge myself to take my dies and turn them into stamps to see just how far I can stretch my supplies. Many crafters struggle with limited supplies and often feel the need to purchase new tools for different projects, which can be extremely costly. I know, I've been there too. Feeling like I need to buy more dies, more stamps, and create something new. But what if I told you there's a way that you can make the most of what you already have? Having limited supplies can be frustrating, especially when you're eager to start a new project. You might find yourself browsing through craft stores, tempting to buy more dies and more stamps. But before you make that purchase, consider this. What if you could turn your existing dies into stamps? We're going to go over how to do that today. So you're going to need a die set. I'm going to use the Poppy layering die set from Pixi Dust Designs that just came out in their new release. At the beginning of the month, we need a card base and some cardstock to stamp on. We're going to need some ink to stamp with. So since this is a layering die set, I'm going to stamp in different layers. So I'm going to have different shades of inks. You're also going to need some fun foam. Now, I picked this up at the dollar store and it's super thin. You want something a little thicker than this. So what I did was I took and glued 3 pieces of this foam together to make it a little bit thicker so it'd be easier to stamp with. And this is a super easy process we're going to go over real quick. So I'm going to pick out some of the dies we're going to use today. So we're going to take our fun foam that's layered up. We're going to put it on our dies. And I've already cut out some of the parts and pieces, but we're going to go ahead and cut out the others as well. I'm going to cut out all the parts for the layering die set. I'm going to put my top plate on. Now, I have a magic mat in here. Some die cutting machines, you might have to switch that out for a regular cutting plate. Mine today worked just fine. And as I say that, it probably will mess up. So we'll see. You're going to start cranking it through your die cutting machine, but you only want to do one pass. So you want to take your time and just don't come back, because I found that sometimes when you come back, it actually can jump and mess everything up. So try what works best for you, because your machine might have to take a couple passes and might not slide. So I'm going to go ahead and pop all these off. All right, so you can see it cut all the way through, but I'm going to have to easily coach them out a little bit. Kind of like you got a new red rubber stamp and you're popping it out of the foam. That's kind of what this is like. So I'll just peel all these out. If any of them didn't adhere all the way, because I did use some tape runner, I just take a little bit of liquid adhesive. Like this right here. I just take a little bit of adhesive, run along there. I put it back in place and I set a block or something on top of it until it grabs. All right, now that I've got all my images cut out, you're going to need some repositionable adhesive, and we're going to run that on the back. Or you could take like Tombow and put that on there and let that dry till it's tacky. That's another way to do it as well. But you want to use something that's going to adhere to it and not be permanent. So make sure you're putting it on the right side. So I will go ahead and add a little bit of adhesive to all the back of my stamps that we made, and I will be right back. All right, I've got a little adhesive on all my parts and pieces. I'm going to stamp these on some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White. So I'm going to get my stamping tool and I'm going to lay that down. I did go ahead and snip off the large leaf of petal flower from the stems, because I don't want those to be green. So I did cut those off. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with one of the stems. And I'm going to use the lightest color ink. And I'm going to ink it up. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that down. So I can remove that. And if you need to stamp it twice, go ahead while you have everything in position. Stamp it a second time. I'm going to go ahead with my next one. I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to stamp that down. And if I need to do a second time, I can. But these inks will dry back a little bit, so I'm not afraid of that. All right, now we're going to go with my largest floral image, and I'm going to line this up. And I'm going to ink this up in the lightest color ink to start out. So make sure it's nice and inked up. And I'll stamp that down. I'm going to come in with my next layer. So I'll line that up. Then I'm going to come just a little bit darker this time. And then my last layer for this one is that right there. So I'm just going to line that up. Then I'll use the darkest color ink. Yeah. Now I'm going to do my center as well. So I'll put this in there. And I already know this one's not perfect. That's okay, because flowers are not perfect. All right, we're going to go ahead and do our next layer. I'm just going to line that up as close to our stem as we can get it. Ink up that lightest color. Stamp that down. And then I can do my next layer of this one. There's that. Now I could totally leave that out, but we're going to add just a little bit. Just like that. All right, so there's one panel. I'm gonna let this dry, and then I will take that off with my Mono Sand Eraser. So we're gonna go ahead and do one more panel. So I'm gonna start off with my stems. So I'll place those down where I want them to be. I'll ink this up. Go ahead and stamp our stems down. And again, remember, because if you look right here, that's ink right here. The same ink we used right here has already dried back, so it's going to be a different shade. And then I can work on our main flowers. And since we're using the same color inks, we'll go ahead and just ink these up. And you can clean these off with a baby wipe. Just be super careful. And I think I'm going to leave the inside stems off this time. I'll add some kind of embellishment to that. Okay. All right, for this layer, it's going to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to line that up. And then I will take our ink here and ink our stamp up. We'll go ahead and put our layer here on. Make sure we have it nice and lined up. Have that layer down. And then we can go over to our next layer here. There's that one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do my leaves that are going to be slightly darker than our stem. So I'm going to take my little stamps here. We could also just add, maybe you want to add a stem somewhere, you could do that. But I'm going to go ahead and add these in where I can. You could also slightly offset them a little bit. I'm just trying to look from the side and line everything up. And I'm going to ink these up with a slightly darker ink. All right, so there's that panel. Now all we have to do now is add a sentiment and finish off our card and embellish it. All right, I went ahead and pulled a couple stamp sets so we could have some sentiments. We're going to use, this is the Up and Away stamp set. There are coordinating dies available that actually are marked down on the Pixi Dust Designs website. I'm going to use Every Good and Perfect Gift is from above. So I'm going to use that one on this card. And then from the It's Party Time stamp set, I'm going to use the Get Well Soon on our other card. I've also cut down some colored cardstock that kind of matches our images that we have created, our stamps that we have created today. So I'll go ahead and place this in my stamp positioning tool and line that up where I want it to go. Make sure we're straight. And then I will stamp that down in black ink. You can stamp it in the dark colored green ink as well. Or you could pull in your VersaFine Claire Onyx, not turn black ink. This one just happened to be sitting here, so that's the one we're going to use. All right, so there is that sentiment. All right, I went ahead and made sure that that was straight. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that down as well. I'm going to add some close to the sentiment. And then I think I could find some smaller gems and add in here if I wanted to, but I'm going to leave them just as they are because it is handmade. Handmade, not Hallmark. So we'll add a couple around our sentiment over here. As well. You can also, I'm going to come in with my white gel pen and I'm going to add a few highlights to those as well as our flowers and a little bit on our leaves. So we'll go ahead and do this flower. All right, so there are both of my cards where I use dies to create stamps. Here's a closer look at both cards. Here's a look at this one. I may go back. I think there's another layer to that I need to add, so I might go back and add that. You'll see those pictures and the final photos at the end. All right, and recapping, turning your dies into stamp is a super easy process, as we've just seen in this video, that can greatly improve your crafting experience. It allows you to use your supplies in a new and creative way, which means you are getting more value for the products you already purchased, plus it's added value in your stash. It allows you to reuse your supplies in new and creative ways, which in the long run saves you time, money, and energy. If you've ever tried turning dies into stamps, let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, you're probably gonna like the one coming up right over there. I'll see you over there in that video. Stay crafty, my friends. Love you. Bye.